In Wuthering Wave's world, Lament is a huge disaster that changed the way Solaris 3 looks. In my previous video we discussed how Cataclysm affected the biological life on the planet. And now let's get into details what are the other aspects of Waveworn Phenomenas and how does they work. Hello, my name is Anya, please leave a like and subscribe and let's get started. First, let's start with the theory. Taced Mater appeared on the planet and dispersed around. The locations with high Taced Mater concentration are called Taced Fields. You definitely saw them in the game. High Taced contamination destroyed all the vegetation around and turned these locations into desert wastelands. Taced Mater that comes out of these cracks attracts a lot of monsters. Taced discords are purposely coming closer to the Taced Fields. You know, this process somehow reminds me about how infamous cordyceps affect the insects and forces them to go to locations beneficial to the mushroom parasite spreading. But here, Taced discords do this in order to merge into one bigger and stronger enemy. Game also have Taced Fields where this merge is almost finished. Why almost? Because as soon as this alpha Taced discord consume enough of the smaller ones and grow enormous amount of power, it will go rampant and cause another Waveworn phenomena, TD Outbreak. That's when Midnight Rangers get to work and destroy all the Taced discords. But the most interesting and mysterious of all the Waveworn phenomena is the Retroact Rain. We learn about it from the story quest. Scientist organization called Court of Savante, with generous financial support from Praxidus, were conducting a research on Taced Mater and attempt to recreate Retroact Rain. They went to the conclusion that Taced Mater have some relation to the divine beings, creatures who previously lived in the planet, and that pure Taced Mater can turn back time. So in order to recreate a Retroact Rain, researchers made a to-do list. First, created an artificial Taced field. Check. Second, put a giant lab rat Taced discord in the middle. Check. Next, they feed him with random Taced stuff. And sometimes humans. Check. Gathered pure concentrated Taced Mater. Check. And make it fly. They failed on the last step, but managed to get a progress to some degree. Raw Taced Mater is not flying to the sky, but floating mid-air. You see, in normal conditions, raw Taced Mater have a liquid form and dragged down by planet gravity. In order to make it fly, you need to create a compensating force that is stronger than gravitational one. And what are the second strongest interaction force in the universe? The force of love? No, silly, the magnetic force. Scientists kept the monster and the giant Taced field in the basement and collected raw Taced Mater from his body. This raw Taced Mater had the same charge as the Taced field it came from, so were affected by magnetic force of repulsion. The bigger the monster in the basement, the stronger the force. In the main story quest, the full moon void plenilunary phenomenon was actually the thing that attracted the droplets of Taced Mater, so the moon should have an opposite magnetic charge. But let's conclude all the information that we know right now about Taced Mater. It can be solid and liquid. It have the same effect on animals as the heavy metal poisoning. It have an abilities similar to magnetic. But lab experiment stopped at exact moment when repulsive force became equal to gravitational. When we managed to get inside the Court of Savante lab, we saw droplets floating mid-air and we learned about mysterious disappearance of all the researchers. But thankfully, they left a lot of notes around the area, so we can learn more about Retroact Rain effects on human body. I'm talking about phantoms or shadows of the past, which is basically a hallucinations. As it was said in previous video, all humans, doesn't matter resonator or not, have some amount of Taced Mater trapped inside the body. Usually it's not Wuthering, evenly dispersed, and can be concentrated in Taced mark by command. So Taced mark is some sort of specialized organ responsible for controlling Taced matter. But what happens when something forces Taced matter to fly? Taced matter is still trapped inside the body, so it will be slowly migrating to organs located at the top of the body, will affect the brain, causing visual, audio, and physical hallucinations. I have high doubts that Retroact Rain can actually turn back time. There's no scientific explanation to it. Quite possibly, Fractures were given incorrect clues to researchers, forcing them to investigate the Lament phenomenon so they can use this information in the process of reviving the Trenodian. Quite possibly, the phantoms that researchers saw were just hallucinations caused by long-term exposure to Taced matter. Main story gives us information that Trenodians could emphasize Retroact Rain impact somehow, but there's no actual explanation how exactly this works. Or maybe it's just the Taced matter, which were only in the ground before, is also dispersed in the air now and have a higher impact on human bodies overall, can get inside easier and cause more severe damage. Also, the Retroact Rain in nature can in fact be formed even without the full moon void plenilune phenomenon. Then what is attracting the droplets of Taced matter? And the last one, how multiple people can see the same tasted hallucinations? Can Taced matter inside human body actually store information and share it between each other? Does that mean that Taced matter can become sentient in higher concentrations? Unfortunately, I don't have one universal answer for all of these questions. Seems like something is always missing. But here are 3 possible explanations of Waveworn Phenomenon. Option number 1. Taced matter is a microscopic life form from the space. They came to conquer the planet by feeding on the other life forms. They have their own form of communication or a language and a hierarchy. Option number 2. Taced matter was artificially made by the leader of Fractures organization. All the Taced discords are possessed with the Taced matter, have their own collective will, and can create a lookalikes. Taced discords are usually functioning automatically, but can be taken under control in situations of necessity. Option number 3. Taced matter is related to previous habitants of the planet, divine beings. To gain the power, they somehow managed to separate from their bodies everything that was dragging them down, metaphorically and physically. But high amount of this rejected matter led to unfortunate disaster that changed their world forever and created monsters. Some of the divine beings were trying to fix the situation. That's why they gave Rover the power to fight against the strongest Taced discourse. Or maybe the Rover is an original divine being before the separation process and just lost all the memory. But that's only a theories. Let me know in the comments which one sounds more interesting to you. Game feeds us small bits of information about the world. There are still some questions left unanswered and topics that require clarifications, like who are black shores and what's their purpose, or why the Taced matter terms have some relation to music, like forte, sonorosphere, and echo. But that will be a topic for another video. And for now, thank you for watching, leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye bye!